Hi, welcome to a series of videos where I break down some of the most common character archetypes in fiction, while comparing and contrasting different takes on said archetype. The archetype I want to discuss today is the hero archetype. The hero character is usually the main character of the story, and the journey revolves around them. Most of the time, they don't begin their journey as a hero. Instead, they start off as a regular person until their call to action happens. Once they take that call to action, their journey to become a hero begins. If this sounds familiar, then good. It should at least sound somewhat familiar and similar to the beginning of a story to you. This was written out in Joseph Campbell's Myth of the Hero's Journey, where he laid out the most concise and easy to understand cycle of the hero's journey, and I recommend reading that if you're not familiar with the hero's journey. But with that out of the way, let's talk about some heroes. The first type of hero I want to talk about is the willing hero. The hero may be living an ordinary life, not thinking that they are a hero. Perhaps they want to be part of something more, but are unable to. But once that call to action is made for them, they don't hesitate to take it and begin their journey. This is the most common of the hero archetype, and can be seen with characters like Luke Skywalker from Star Wars, or Goku from Dragon Ball. While they were both living normal lives, once they were given the chance to go on an adventure, they took it. Luke was just a simple farmer until he found R2-D2 and Obi-Wan, but after that he went on his life-changing journey across the galaxy, saving it in the end. And Goku would have remained a mountain hermit if Bulma never came across him, but once they did meet, Goku went on a life-changing journey around the world, meeting friends and foes alike, and he went on to save the world, the galaxy, and even the multiverse in one occasion. The next type of hero I want to talk about is the far less popular Unwilling Hero. When the call to action comes to the hero, they might refuse, or they are unwillingly forced into adventure when that's the last thing they want. An alternative to this is that they want to take the call to action, but they are being held back by something, either physically or emotionally. However, during the journey, they develop and become in love with the adventure that they didn't want to go on at first. Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit and Gene Starwin from Outlaw Star, while completely different characters, both fit this perfectly. Bilbo wants to live a quiet, normal life, but once given the offer by Gandalf to go on an adventure with the dwarves, he refuses at first, only to go along with them in the end, finding his love for adventure as well as his friendship with the dwarves as well as Gandalf. As for Gene, he is a bounty hunter in the future that's dominated by space travel, and although he wishes to travel in space, he can't get over the trauma of watching his father die while in space. That is until he's forced into space by Hilda, thus beginning his journey. The third type of hero I want to discuss is the anti-hero. These characters can be seen in many ways. While they may be the protagonist of the story, that doesn't make them a good person. An anti-hero usually is in the gray area between hero and villain, and may also encompass a rebellious persona, and usually fight for their own reasons instead of selfless ones. Characters like Deadpool, or just about any Clint Eastwood character in his westerns, are prime examples. Deadpool, while he fights evil, he does it for his own personal reasons and is much more vulgar and brutal than heroes fight, as well as having his own sense of justice, choosing mostly to kill his foes in brutal, albeit ridiculous ways instead of just taking them down. Meanwhile, Clint Eastwood, in just about every western he's in, isn't a hero that's here to save the day. He's just another outlaw that kills criminals who get in his way. And although he's helping people out, he's doing it for his own reasons, not out of the goodness of his heart. Another well-known hero type is the tragic hero. These are heroes who are flawed, but unlike other heroes, they never overcome their flaws. This can result in either one of two things. They are unable to overcome their flaws and die because of it, or it causes them to become the villain. While the first outcome is tragic, it can be much more heart-wrenching to watch the hero slowly become the villain. This can be even more tragic because most of the time, their flaw can be a selfless thing. They say the highway to hell is paved with good intentions. For example, Ace from One Piece holds his friends and companions in such high regard that he fights for them on his behalf, and too many times, this causes him to get in over his head, and eventually it's what kills him. A better known example, however, is Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars, who is heralded as being the chosen one that would bring peace to the galaxy. But after fearing that his lover, Padme, and the children she's pregnant with could die, he obeys Palpatine because he claims that he can help Anakin save her. This, however, turns Anakin to the dark side and becomes the monster known as Darth Vader, and in turn becomes the one that kills her. Ultimately, in the end, he lost everything trying to save Padme. A more unconventional hero archetype is the group-oriented heroes, where it's less about a single person's journey and more about everyone as a group together. And while there may be a leader of the group, it is focused more on the dynamic of each individual working together than it is about a single person. There can be times where the group is separated and each member has their own individual journey, but they will ultimately come back to finish the journey together. Examples of this include the Avengers, where they are all great superheroes on their own, but once they come together, they can handle just about any threat. And while Captain America and Iron Man are the key leaders, it never feels like the other characters are being pushed to the side. Rather, they are all involved. Another great example is Passione from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Golden Wind. Man, that's a mouthful. Well, each member of Passione has their own reasons for becoming gangsters, and they all follow Bruno as their key leader, as he was someone who saved all of them when they were at their darkest moments in their life. However, Bruno is not the main character of the story, it's Giorno. Giorno, for the most part, takes a back seat and is usually playing the role of support to the others in the gang. That is until Bruno dies and Giorno steps up to carry on what Bruno started. Because of this, some could argue that Bruno is the main character of Part 5 instead of Giorno, and some can even argue that the story is about Mista. This is because even though Giorno is the main character, the focus is not always on him, rather it's on everyone in the gang. Another very popular hero type is the loner hero. As opposed to the group heroes, the loner hero works alone and prefers to live that way. There can be many reasons for this. For example, they might be alone because they're living in solitude, or they might fear hurting themselves or others if they do come into contact with them. There's also the possibility they eventually join back with others, but there's also the chance that they remain alone for the rest of their lives. The Hulk encapsulates this perfectly. Bruce Banner lives a life of solitude away from others because he fears that he will hurt or possibly kill the ones he cares about when he turns into the Hulk. However, he has been able to get over this hurdle by joining the Avengers. Light Yagami from Deathnote is another great example. After receiving the Deathnote, he goes on his own journey to cleanse the world in his eyes to see it as perfect. And he only lets people get close to him so that he can manipulate them so that he can get closer to his goals. The last hero type is the Catalyst heroes. While these characters are heroic, they are usually not the main protagonists of the story. Instead, they serve more as mentor figures to other heroes. While we might hear about their heroic actions, for the most part, their story has already been told. They exist more as a means to pass the torch down to the next generation of heroes. Obi-Wan and Yoda from Star Wars are perfect representations of this type of hero. They teach Luke about the Force and everything he needs to know before both passing away and leaving the rest up to Luke. Another great example is the Avatar spirits from Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. While they did have their own adventures and growth, they have long since passed and now exist in the spirit form to guide Aang on his journey and to pass their wisdom on to him. Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom is another great example, but with a twist. He teaches his students how to be the best assassins in the world, but the catch is that if no one can kill him within a year, he will kill everyone on Earth. This puts pressure on the students to take his lessons to heart, but to also try and figure out their own ways of assassination, so he becomes a Catalyst hero while also being the villain of the story as well. Now, I want to discuss the three main arcs a hero may go through. In a story, the hero will go through an arc, where at the end of the story they are a completely different person than they were at the beginning. A character arc is made to show how far the character has come, and how they have changed, and there are three main character arcs. First, and probably most common arc, is the positive arc. This is where the character is faced with a challenge, and by the end of the story, they overcome the challenge and change for the better because of this. This is used in almost every hero archetype and exemplifies the cycle of the hero's journey, as well as being the most satisfying, both from a world perspective as well as an audience perspective. Everyone wants to see Luke Skywalker grow strong and save the galaxy, or see the Guardians of the Galaxy learn to work with each other and take down evil, or even watch Rocky Balboa train every day to face off against Apollo Creed. This can be done in the case of a villain to hero arc as well, where a character starts off as a villain and progresses through the story becoming a hero or helping the hero out. One of the best examples of this would have to be Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Throughout the show, we watch him argue with himself over what's the right thing to do: kill the Avatar and regain his honor as Prince of the Fire Nation, or help the Avatar take down the Fire Lord and bring peace to the land. Ultimately, in the end, he joins Aang in becoming a hero. The complement to the positive arc is the negative arc. In the negative arc, the hero is faced with a challenge and he doesn't overcome it, and it becomes worse off because of it. This is used almost exclusively for tragic heroes to emphasize their fall from grace. The audience wants to see the hero succeed, so seeing this arc definitely pulls on the heartstrings. As stated before, Anakin Skywalker is a perfect example of this arc in action. Other examples include just about any Shakespeare character: Macbeth, Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, take your pick. And the last and most divisive character arc is the flat arc. The flat arc is when the hero of the story doesn't change much from how they were at the beginning of the story. While they may get stronger by the end of the story, they ultimately are the same person and have no big lesson to learn. Instead of the story being about how the world changed the hero, it's about how the hero changed the world. This is mostly used for catalyst heroes, but there are instances of main heroes using this arc. And while most people would blow off this as lazy or bad writing, it should be kept in mind that there are many good examples as there are bad ones. One of the best examples of a flat arc would have to be Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece. Throughout the over 20 years of production, holy crap, 20 years? Oof. Well, throughout the 20 years of publication, Luffy has remained the same happy-go-lucky idiot that loves freedom above all and will kick your ass if you hurt his friends. Now, while that may make him sound boring, it actually is quite the opposite, because each new villain that he faces off against forces him to confront his own beliefs. And while, say, you or me might begin to question our beliefs, Luffy never even thinks of questioning what he believes in. Because of this, it causes other characters to question themselves and join Luffy, or at the very least, gain respect for him. Well, I hope this video helps simplify the hero archetype for you all out there, and please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff if you want to see more, I guess. Thank you, and goodbye.